Hey folks, welcome to my first impressions review of the Brooks HYPERION Elite 2. So what is this shoe? Well, this is Brooks' second entry into the marathon carbon fiber plated race day shoes. The first one did not go down well with people at all in general. People felt that it underperformed, and Brooks came out with a statement saying that it lasted only 50 miles, which is actually strictly pathetic for any shoe really. So that led Brooks to turning around and releasing the shoe within a year of releasing the first, making this Brooks' fastest developed shoe of all time. So in this first impression review, I'm just going to go over the text and specs of the shoe and then go on and talk about my overall impressions of how this fared after putting in 15 miles in this shoe. So text and specs first. With the upper here, we have a mechanical woven upper. You see this hose here for breathability, and it is very light, very breathable, and it provides for great lockdown on your foot as well. On the midsole, we have the DNA Flash midsole foam. You see this also in the Brooks HYPERION Timbo shoe, which I've also reviewed on my channel. And within the midsole, we have a carbon fiber plate, which I actually can't see here, but it's in there, I tell you. So on the outsole then, we have some rubber here for traction purposes. In terms of stack height, we have 8mm and we have a weight in my size of 215 grams or 8 ounces. Okay, so let's speak now of how this fared for me after putting in 15 miles in this shoe. Okay, so the purpose of this review is to give you my first impressions of how this fared. I'm going to break down the pros and cons, and hopefully it'll make you come to a better mind on whether you want to buy this or not. So, the pros. And just before I actually go on to the pros, I just want to say that I brought this out only for 15 miles. I brought this out initially for a 2-mile run, just as a tester, and then subsequently I brought this out for a half marathon tester on the track. So, pros. For me, a big pro is the stability of it. And I mean this because having ran in Nike's carbon fiber plated shoes, Adidas's carbon fiber plated shoes, this is by far, for me anyway, the most stable out of all of them. It feels like a normal shoe, but performs really, really well. When I'm taking corners, there's no real issue. Usually, unless you're going very, very fast. But overall, it feels like a normal shoe for me. And that's the great thing, because usually I feel that most carbon fiber plated shoes feel distinctly different to normal running shoes. This doesn't, and that's a big pro for me. The second pro is the breathability. I think it's very, very breathable. It's great for some running, and you know, the mechanical woven upper really helps with that, and overall you feel very, very light. A third pro would be, again, how light it is and just how good it feels on the roads and on the track. I mean, it feels like it's just extremely light and really helps you put on those faster paces. And in terms of the pros, that's all I have so far. But as you can get from that, I'm very impressed by it. And really have to say that I'm considering using this for my upcoming marathon in November, I have to say. So, in terms of the cons, so the only real con I have here for me is the price. It's €250, or retails that. You can get that for cheaper in some outlets, but that's what it is. And yeah, it's quite expensive. But with that being said, most of the carbon fiber options out there are around that price or even more expensive. But yeah, look, regardless of that, €250 for a shoe is really expensive, and I'm not going to say it isn't. So that's the really only con I have so far in this shoe. As I said earlier, a brief con could be sometimes when you're handling a corner at very high speeds, it becomes a bit unstable. But again, look, I mean, that's any racer really in any kind of shoe with a stack height of 8mm or above. That's what I find anyway, but not really a con, but I just wanted to mention it. But that's it with the pros and cons. Overall, I feel very, very happy with it. I feel very, very comfortable with it, and I'm hoping that this will perform as good as it does initially for all my runs. And if I do use it in a marathon in November, that it works very well. Here's hoping. But that's it, folks. Thanks as always for tuning in, and I will speak to you on the next review.